a fall story. Driving west on the Bay Bridge on an autumn late afternoon, I saw in the distance a sight that never ceases to rivet my attention. A large container ship heading towards the port of Oakland, the low sun illuminating its wake like a flowing trail of diamonds, as a nearby boat cruising under easy sail just disappeared from view beneath the bridge. Accelerating, I changed lanes, passing a man in a red Mini Cooper, driving 15 miles an hour slower than prevailing traffic, gesturing animatedly as he spoke into his cell phone. As I opened my window and the moonroof to enjoy the breeze, I considered the life drawing class I was heading to. Did I forget those new charcoal sticks? Glancing at the new bridge rising to the north, its striking tower and distinct cables stood in contrast to the aging erector set structure I presently drove on, and which cast intricate shadow patterns on the roadway. Last month, sailing from Berkeley to the Oakland estuary, we passed under both bridges during a lunch cruise to Jack London Square. From the water, the contrast between old and new was even more apparent. As we glided by giant cranes, construction barges, and the sweeping new concrete roadway, still held up by temporary supports. In my mind's eye, I attempted to match what we saw that day to where I presently drove. I lowered the passenger side visor to block the sun, just as my phone beeped with a message. Distracted briefly, I deliberately returned my focus to the road and the car ahead, a black BMW sedan. For no apparent reason, he hit his brakes. God damn it! In the split second after my foot slammed on the brake pedal, I felt and then heard a twisting, metallic groaning. My car skidded, jerking wildly up and down. I watched the entire bridge sway side to side as steel tie rods and eye bars broke loose and dangled. 2 lanes over, an airport van crunched into the rear of a pickup truck. Looking again for the car in front of me, it was nowhere to be seen. Instead, I was careening towards a large open gap where both upper and lower decks at this junction had collapsed and could see a broad patch of blue water visible below. Shit! Stop, stop, I thought, with the ugly feeling that having braked, with cars on each side of me, there was nothing more I could do but wait an eternity crammed into that proverbial blink of an eye. No luck. Over I went, flying out into the gaping abyss, those 2 cars flanking me, as if at the start of a surreal race. Involuntarily gasping, my body flushed with a burning sensation as if struck by high fever. I recalled improbably that I had signed up for hang gliding lessons for the coming weekends. My white Honda Civic plummeted in space, the hood dipping down at a slight angle. Was this it? Had I lived a good, full life, a life to be proud of? A recent Cape Cod sunset, eating by kerosene lamps, laughing with family in a shack on the sand dunes. The last deep chord of a Schubert recital. A walk-off home run. That kiss. Was I mindful? Did I appreciate it all? I implored the airbags in this car with 200,000 miles on it to work. The cars on either side of me, one blue, one silver, kept pace, actually slightly ahead of me. Through the windshield, I saw the old bridge columns and rapidly approaching bay. I braced myself. I can swim. I'm a swimmer. Live! I shouted at the car. I shouted as the car hit the water with an enormous bang, displacing all previous life experience. Inner darkness. Silence. Am I still alive? I opened my eyes, blinking, painfully breathing in and out. My airbag had deployed. I tasted blood, and my head throbbed. There was not a moment for complacency, though, as frigid San Francisco Bay water filled the vehicle, jolting me like an electric shock A wave washed over the windshield. The car was sinking rapidly. Maneuvering around the airbag, I reached quickly to unbuckle my seatbelt, stood on the console between seats, then putting one foot on the dashboard, hauled myself up through the moonroof, yelling from the stabbing pain in my left shoulder. I gave a final kick free of the car as it sank right out from under me. The piercing, wet cold clutched my body, but suddenly remembering, I thrashed side to side, looking for the other cars, only to watch helplessly, and cry out again as each rooftop in turn hesitated briefly, then vanished, leaving only undulating circles on the water's surface. Overhead, the bridge appeared for the most part as it was the last time I sailed under it, save for the gap in the roadway, some silhouetted figures standing by that edge, and instead of the loud roar of traffic filling the air, it was silent, save for a single distant car horn. Another wave caused me to swallow water, and I realized, though usually a strong swimmer, now I could barely tread water and keep my head up. I kicked off my shoes, but beyond that I could not formulate a cogent thought as to what to do next. I found my vision was strangely blurred, the tones of sea and sky blending with the white brushstrokes of two passing seagulls. As numbness seeped through me, I first ignored a vague sound, but when it got louder, I turned to see a boat approaching, sails flapping with a man standing at the shrouds, calling out frantically and extending a boat hook just as I lost consciousness. Thank you.